speaking of my husband, he's been your coworker at ESPN now for 2 NFL seasons. So I have to ask, who's the most difficult person on the desk, and why is it my husband?
It's absolutely not him.
Damn it.
Unfortunately, like so far down on the diva rankings in sports media. I know you hate to hear it. I wish I had an embarrassing story or even like a secondhand story. And sadly, it's all rave reviews. And I'll embarrass him for a second. I don't know him super well, but in our interactions, because my show is on Monday Night Football. He's on Monday Night Countdown. We're on before that. So he works with a couple guys on my show who adore him as well, Ryan Clark and Marcus Spears. So we are all on the road in the same cities every Monday. And people always ask me 2 questions I'll bring up. One is, what's it like dealing with so much crap from men because of your job? And the first thing I always say is it's on the internet. It is not like that actually with my colleagues or even people in the NFL. It's been an amazing experience. They are so supportive, so cool. It's entirely external. And then the other thing people say is, well, how can men help women? Because there aren't that many of us, particularly ones who do my job. And I think your husband is an extremely great example of how you do that, which is just by being freaking normal. Like asking, like just engaging in like normal football conversations with me. And it is not about like being a, weird performative ally. It's the things you don't see. It's if I make a comment about something I see in a game and he will remember it weeks later and bring it up, which sounds so small, but those are the things that actually, I feel like I'm embarrassing you, transitive property here, but those are the things that actually help. He has been awesome in that regard. And many of my coworkers are equally awesome.
Oh, that's honestly, it's lovely to hear. We love to joke around here, but I know how much he has loved working with everyone that you guys have on Monday nights. So it is nice. I'm sure he would be blushing and telling you no, but it's lovely to hear about him in such a nice way. Now, have you been surprised by any outfit or stunt that he's done at this point?
Not really. Actually, the instrument thing, well, that was the beginning of the season, right? When they were in the band.
Yes.
I didn't know
that
he
one
had
even
that.
shocked me.
Yeah, that was amazing.
Our girls saw him and were like, what's Dad doing? And I was like, playing the saxophone apparently tonight.
Who knew? I loved that. That was, I think, Baltimore, if I remember correctly.
I
that
believe
was a
so.
great bit. But it was not surprising, no, because I feel like it would take a lot at this point.
Okay, I'll tell him to up his game so that he can surprise you. Now, this is not my first time singing your praises on the show. I don't know if you saw this, but when Taylor's quote from the other podcast, we call that the other podcast, went viral, we played your TikTok using the sound. Queen Emma, can you show us the clip, please?
And I think we all know that if there's one thing that male sports fans want to see in their spaces and on their screens, it's more of me.
Yes. Now, I love this so much. I love this so much because, first of all, badass quote. Second, it applies perfectly. Why do you love it so much? Why did you feel inclined to do this? Because I'm sure, like you already mentioned, this is something that you've actually heard.
Yeah. So I love the quote from Taylor because it was so tongue in cheek, obviously. And I think it was very revealing of someone who has a good sense of humor about themselves and awareness of the way that they can trigger some people and how silly it is and having fun with it. And I try to have the same attitude towards some of the reactions I evoke. I aspire to. So hearing someone who's obviously on a much bigger stage, I think express the way a lot of us in a lot of women who work in my industry feel was pretty cool. And it was funny. But I joke about it. And I know I started off by talking about like men on the internet, but it's also like not indicative of most of the male sports fans I interact with in the wild who are like amazing and complimentary and come to my shows and listen to my podcast. So there's kind of two sides of it, right? Like joking about the angry ones on the internet while also being aware that actually like most of them are pretty cool with it. And most of them give us great feedback.
Now, one of the things all of your fans, including me, love about you is the very intelligent, very funny way you respond to certain men who share their problems seeing you on their screens. Some might even call it an exercise in Fuck around and find out. Would you say that's a fair assessment?
I feel like I was joking with you before. Like I try to resist showing them or responding, I guess. And then eventually the demons on my shoulders outweigh the angels. Because it's like a mixed bag, right? Like you don't want to give too much
them what they're looking for.
Yeah, because most
also
do
they started it. Yeah.
I think for me though, and like this is like sometimes because I get called DEI probably 100 times a day. Every now and then I'll respond. Not one. Yeah, no, I'm not gonna lie and say it doesn't feel good. It does. But also, I want all the other people who get called DEI 100 times a day to see it and to see that how stupid it is.
Yes.
And how it's universal for all of us who are not, who are minorities in these spaces. And I think sometimes the best way to conquer it is by making fun of it. So I do want kind of to show that to people how silly it is.
Well, also, I think that if you're going to be what I would describe as hateful, if you're going to use that as like a dig at someone, if you're going to be hateful because you couldn't do that, then sometimes you deserve to be smacked down. Yeah. But in honor of Women's History Month, I actually thought we'd bring back our segment, Fuck Around and Find Out. And we'd take a look at a couple times some Twitter bros. Oh, no. Well, they fucked around and you promptly let them find out. So this first one's a classic. Some dumbass wrote, "Women shouldn't be allowed to talk sports. This DIY hire is brainless, clueless. Her takes are dog shit." To which you replied, "DIY hire." That's a quote. That's a quote right there. Is this one of your favorites?
I do like the ones where you don't actually even have to use your own words to clap back. You can just use theirs. So I will say I do enjoy that aspect of it. Do it yourself indeed. I also have found on the internet that it is often the case that the people who are most critical of other people for not having English as a first language, perhaps, or wanting to respect those who don't, often have the worst command of the English language itself. It just seems like that's like a circle, the Venn diagram. So I do enjoy that aspect of Twitter in particular.
Next up, maybe one of my favorites. Someone said, at Mina Kimes, "You are definitely gaining weight." And you replied, "Yeah, that's what happens when you're 38 weeks pregnant."
It is, yeah.
I mean,
strange but true.
The craziest part about this is that it's not like, yeah, that's what happens when you're pregnant, or that's what happens when you're 20 weeks pregnant. You were 38 weeks pregnant.
Yeah.
That's insane.
That's pretty damn pregnant. Yeah. I you know what? I actually worked so I was working. So I must have been on TV because I think I worked the day before I induced. So from home.
Like a
so
true
I just, waddled upstairs. That's what you do when you're 38 weeks pregnant. Plopped down in front of gave takes on, it was the NFL season. He was born during the NFL season. It was like week 4. And then waddled downstairs, went to the hospital and gave birth. So I think I probably wrote that week when I was truly out of fucks to give. But I also, Kylie, didn't announce or reveal I was pregnant, I think, until I was like definitely in my 3rd trimester. So there was a while where I'm sure a lot of my colleagues were just like, she's gained some weight.
Yeah, but they had the social wherewithal to not say it out loud.
They would definitely not say you've gained weight on air. Also, they probably noticed I was wearing like weird 90s style blazers a lot.
Sure. Yeah.